Guild Wars 2 has seen a lot of changes over the years, one of which is the speed at which you can level up has drastically increased. While personally I do enjoy taking my time leveling up, and I definitely recommend doing that for your first max level character, I know a lot of people just want to, max out as fast as possible so they can get started on the end game content, or, maybe they're just leveling up your 27th character or something like that. So here are my tips for leveling up as fast as possible. I'm going to go ahead and break an unwritten YouTube rule here and just give you the most valuable tip straight away, because I think this is probably one of the lesser known tips, but it's an absolute game changer. So feel free to click away after this first tip. It's all downhill from here. Tip number one, the Character Adventure Guide. This is a set of achievements that were added sort of recently. I think it was a couple of years ago now. They were added to the game in order to improve the new player experience, along with a bunch of other little changes in the same vein. They are essentially some character-bound achievements that reward you with obscene amounts of experience for doing almost exclusively trivial things that you'll be doing a lot of anyway, just as you level up your character passively. Things like dodge an attack, view a vista, use a skill. If you just keep an eye on these achievements and slowly do them on the side of whatever else you're doing, you'll start absolutely flying through those levels, especially if you pair them with a few of these next tips. Experience boosters. Sure, you probably know about these, but I still think the majority of newer players still underestimate just how much of a difference they can make. If you take a couple of minutes just to grab a few XP boosters and keep them applied while you're doing whatever you're about to do anyway, they can speed up your leveling by many hours. Here are some XP boosters that are super easily obtainable. So any kind of banner buffs that you find in the open world that are placed by other players, it's worth it to go and interact with them. They almost always give you some kind of XP boost among other buffs. There's all sorts of food and utility buffs that can be purchased from various vendors and heart quest NPCs after completing their hearts, or just from the trading post that give you XP boosts that are dirt cheap, usually costing some copper or a bit of karma, which you'll get a lot of as you level up. The celebration booster comes from completing the weekly Wizard's Vault achievements, which are usually pretty easy. And if you're a returning player, you've probably got a few birthday boosters somewhere in your bank or on your old characters. You'll get these every time any of your characters has a birthday. They have the same boost as the celebration booster, but they last a full 24 hours of playtime instead of 1 hour. If you're in any guilds, you can grab a free and unlimited small XP boost from the bartender in your guild hall. And for more information on XP boosters, definitely check out this wiki page. It lists like all of the boosts in the game, which ones stack with each other, and exactly how to obtain any of the ones that you're looking for. Link for that will be in the description. Tip number 3, map exploration and dynamic events. So this tip is basically just a reminder of just how much XP these activities give you. If you're not paying attention, you may not realize it, but they're actually nothing to scoff at. You should definitely quickly grab that vista that you pass by and go participate in that dynamic event that overlapped with whatever you're doing. If you can combine these things as well, that's when shit really gets cooking. Like, if you're doing a heart quest and some map completion, and then a random dynamic event overlaps with that, that's twice the bang for your buck. Chuck some XP boosters on top of all of that, and maybe perform a dodge roll if you're feeling really crazy, and all of a sudden, you'll be looking at your character level wondering if this shit is even legal. And for anyone who doesn't know, a dynamic event is any of these orange circles that appear on your map randomly in the open world. A lot of them can be manually triggered as well by doing something at the orange star icon on the map. Tip number 4, the bonus XP. Alright, so here's one last little tip before we get to the final fastest possible way to level up. So there's a little bonus XP mechanic in this game where the longer a mob has remained alive in a map, the more bonus XP it'll give you when you kill it. And this means if you go to like lower population areas and kill mobs that most people don't kill, like passive mobs with yellow names, the more likely it is that they've been sitting there for longer, and the more bonus XP that you might get. Underwater mobs are another good option as well. Doing only this is probably not the best way to go about leveling up as fast as possible, but it's just something good to know about while doing your leveling. So like if you go past some yellow mobs, it might be a good idea just to give them a little smack before moving on. And finally, here is the single fastest possible way to get to max level. Buying an expansion and using the included level 80 boost. Yeah, boring, I know, but you know, that's the fastest way. In all seriousness though, the Tomes of Knowledge are a pretty similar type of sort of skip through the levels, and they're actually pretty easy to obtain, like for free in game. You can get these from the Wizard's Vault if you want to use some Astral Acclaim on these, as well as if you've played much PvP or World of Your World, you've probably got a good few of these in your bank already. You can consume the Tomes of Knowledge to instantly gain 1 character level, or if you're already max level, they'll give you a Spirit Shard, which is a very time-gated end game currency that you'll need a lot of if you get into the deep end game. Honestly, I wouldn't really recommend using these to level up your characters, especially in the earlier, lower levels, just because it's so quick and easy to level up with the previously mentioned tips. And Spirit Shards are actually pretty valuable if you ever get into legendary crafting, which honestly, it might happen sooner than you might expect. But I guess if you're really lazy or you just hate the leveling process for some reason, you can use these as a last resort. Just make sure if you have a limited amount of them, use them on the later levels of your character instead of the earlier levels, since the first few levels are so easy to breeze through, and the later levels will require more experience per level, so you're getting better value per Tome of Knowledge. And that's it. I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. And check out some of these other videos as well. They're cool. Alright, take it easy, gamers.